attorney who has her own practice as a woman, as an Italian American. That's fantastic. Tell me how you started in the business. Obviously, you went to law school, but tell me about your journey, would you?
Yeah, of course. I'll be happy to do that. My father is an attorney, so
Mm.
I follow his steps. But I'm the first attorney in the United States. You can hear my accent. I was born geographically in Argentina. Our family is one of the many Italian families that emigrated to the Americas. Instead of North America, my family went to South America, and now here I am. And yeah, it's interesting to be a female in the legal profession. I think that we have come a long way, and it's good to see so many female partners at law firms that encourage the younger women to have aspirations. But I know it was not always the case. So we have come a long way. For me to start my own practice, it was a family dream to make my father's law firm international. And I'm a big dreamer. So when I came to the United States, he had his practice. My sister still works with him. So I opened an office in California and we started collaborating. And it's been 8 years and I've been very blessed. I'm very fortunate that I was able to make that dream come true.
Where did your family originally come from in Italy?
On my dad's side, from a town called Noli, my last name, Noli, it's a beautiful town by the ocean, close to Genova.
Oh,
Yes, that I highly recommend anybody that is listening to go. Very small town, but beautiful. And when I say a small, really small, that you go to the coffee shop and there may be one or two coffee shops and everybody knows everybody. And so a really unique place. My mother's family from Chieti, Escasciato, that was the last name. So I'm Italian on both sides of the family, very proud. And I grew up with a lot of the Italian traditions. Yeah.
What were the traditions that you remember most in your home? Of course, I'm sure food, but what were some of the traditions that
No,
your
io
family
parlo
continued?
italiano. I learned Italian. We went to study with my sister in Florence, the culture, the art, very proud of, architecture, and not too proud, but this is the Little Italy podcast. So we excel at everything, Italians. And
Oh,
I
don't we? Oh, yes, we do. Please brag away. Go ahead.
right? So when it comes to cooking, art, architecture, history, you name it, in arts, especially, I love arts. I wish I was more artistically gifted, but yeah, definitely. It's something that I carried with me and my parents. So we had Sunday family dinner with everyone. My family in Argentina, they all moved um, from Italy, from different places, but we stayed sort of like maybe the original Italian families that moved into San Pedro. It was like a couple of blocks away is your aunt, a couple of streets down is your grandmother, your grandfather. So everybody stayed in the same neighborhood. I was kind of the adventurous one that decided to come to the US. And I can talk to you more about that a little later if you're curious. Yeah.
I am curious, actually, because I'm the same way, right? My family came from Avellino, and then they settled in the New Jersey area. They're all still there. I adore them. But I was the adventurous one. I took off. And, I'm the only one out here. So it's always been a little difficult for me because I don't have that big family unit. The Sunday dinners are about me. And my kids didn't grow up. I have three sons, and they didn't grow up with all that family around them, to the point when we go back east to see family, they say to me, how do you remember all their names? There's so many of them. I said, you just grow up that way, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You also are sort of out here. You're out here by yourself, right? Essentially with family elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very fortunate that they come to visit and I go to visit. Today's world is a very different world than our Italian grandparents. When they left Italy behind, they were not able to get back on a plane and, and see their families. Right now, within a day, you are back at home and you can see your loved ones. And so that's also something that has changed being an immigrant. But I think you can relate to me because, the East Coast is not that close. You have to get on a plane and yeah, the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The day to day. You miss that, the day to day.
As a lawyer, what does your practice entail, and why did you decide to get involved in that end of law, if you could tell us?
So I'm an intellectual property attorney, and I mainly specialize in trademarks, so brands and trademarks licensing. I practice a little bit of copyright. My office handles patent prosecution. And I originally, when I became an attorney, I always liked international law, and maybe like a lot of idealistic younger attorneys, I wanted to work for the United Nations with, but I received a job offer at an intellectual property law firm, and that's how I ended up in California. I wasn't really planning it. The opportunities present themselves in life, and you take them, or you decide to take a different path. Yeah. So I took.
But tell me about the importance of copywriting your work. Who should copyright their work? Who should trademark their work? Because a lot of people don't even know to do that, right? And why is it so important to protect whatever business you started, a name, anything like that? Tell us.
Well, I think that it's always important to protect your rights before you have a dispute. And if you ask me, why would you have to protect your trademark ahead of time or your copyright? It's because it's faster, it's easier, and you can prevent infringement. Whereas if you wait for third parties to start copying you, then you would have to do it anyways, and it's much harder to prove. And sometimes the third parties, individuals that start copying you, rush to the trademark office or to the copyright office and protect these intellectual property rights themselves. So then it becomes a more difficult battle to prove who was the original owner. So I always recommend, it's better to prevent. It's kind of like in medicine. You wait too long to go to the doctor, and then you don't know, it's harder to prevent an illness. So I'm a firm believer, if you can prevent it and start early, you should do it.
We talked about women in business. Now there's more women in business, more women in the arts, in directing and producing, in law. How important is it for them to protect themselves in business? Do you deal a lot with women? How do you encourage them to really look out for themselves and protect themselves?
Yeah, a lot of my friends are younger. I have younger female friends that started companies, clothing companies, wellness, fitness products, and entertainment as well. And I know you and I talk about this. It's very important to protect your rights ahead of time. If you are, and some industries are more brand driven than others. So we have, some clients, also female entrepreneurs in skincare. There are certain industries that are very brand driven. So you don't want to wait until later. And as you are building your brand and you're getting consumer recognition, you want to make sure that you are protected. It would be pretty painful if later on in the game you have to change completely your identity, right? Because the consumers come to know you and the quality of your products and services under that particular brand. So it's a big investment. You don't want halfway into the process to be forced to change it. So it's important to clear the path and protect yourself. I hope I answered your question.
No, you did, because that's something I've always been very accustomed to doing, because when you're a talent, if you will, or someone who's public, it's very important to do that, because then somebody could just take your name and use it, or take a name and use it, right?
Yeah. And, we work with talent as well, right? I have some friends that are, in the entertainment industry. Yeah. Several, actually.
Yeah. So, my point is, whether it's a business, whether it's your name, whether it never hurts, as you said, to get in early and just protect yourself so there's not an issue down the road, right? So talk to me about the Italian American Lawyers Association. I think it's fantastic that you were president, that you were voted in to be president. I know that you're quite a distinguished attorney, which is why you were voted in to be president. But why was it formed in the first place? What was going on with Italian Americans in law?
In the 70s. Yeah. So this organization that is very dear to my heart, and in part is thanks to this group that I met you. I'm very happy that you came to that event at Little Italy last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the founders, they started at a home. They went through the phone book of all the lawyers that have Italian sounding last names and gathered everybody together in the 70s. You have to think now we are, it's 50 years later, almost 50 years later. But back at that time, there were not as many judges of Italian descent. And we wanted, I guess, the founders, not we. I wasn't even born when the organization was founded. But what is very special about this group is that they wanted to support each other and they wanted to end discrimination against Italian Americans.
Right.
I know we all are very proud of our heritage, but I've heard from some older colleagues of mine that it's not always been the case. It's not always been that Italian Americans were welcomed with open arms. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going to give away a little something. Even when I first started out, it was the 90s, right? That's not that long ago. I mean, maybe to some people, but not to me. And one of my first jobs, my hair is darker, and the news director said to me, "You're too ethnic. Nobody wants to hear the news from a lady who looks I was a young girl who looks ethnic. Show up on Monday with lighter hair." Could you imagine that happening today? It just wouldn't happen, right? I did it because I was a kid and I was like scrambling to try and figure out how to dye my hair in the first place, just because I needed the job, right? But gosh, I think about it often, and I think that would never happen today, not in a million years, right? Look how far we've come as Italians, as people who were considered ethnic back then, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, Deborah. I heard I'm a big Robert De Niro, Leonardo Dicaprio fan, and I have read some interviews where Leonardo Dicaprio said he was a child actor, and someone suggested early in his career he should change his last name because it was very Italian DiCaprio. And I mean, very similar to what you were just saying in the 90s, right? So very, very interesting how in 30 years, things have changed so much for the better, if you ask me. Yeah.
Oh, of course. I wouldn't have to dye my hair. And DiCaprio, thank goodness he kept his name. He wouldn't have even, nobody would have even asked him that, right?
Yeah. So well, and you look beautiful. You look beautiful with blonde hair. You look beautiful anyway, but I know what you mean. The concept behind it, it's pretty upsetting, but I am happy that these things probably would never happen today in today's age. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, what does the IALA, or what do you call it? What do they do, right? It's quite a distinguished group of attorneys. You get together quite often. What does the group do now?
Following the traditions of being Italian, you know how, and I know you're a proud Italian, we are very close to our friends and our families, and I called IALA my second family. We have a lot of attorneys that relocated from the East Coast to the West Coast, and maybe their blood family is far, but we get together once a month. Traditionally, before COVID, we got together for certain once a month at Casa Italiana. It's a wonderful 4-course meal. We have very prestigious speakers. You know that Joe Buscaino, it's going to be our speaker next Wednesday. I'm inviting whoever is listening that wants to come and check out our group on our website. Italian American Lawyers Association of Los Angeles. We're advertising an event for next Wednesday, and anybody can come. You don't have to be Italian. You can be married to an Italian, you can be friends of an Italian, or you can just like Italian food and Italian culture and be interested in coming to see us. And this
in our family, we call it IBM. My husband has a shirt. It's called IBM, Italian by marriage, because he's full-blooded Polish, but he's such a proud Italian by marriage. So you're right. Everyone is welcome, right?
That's right. You brought your husband. Yeah. He was there. Yeah. And I also want to give a shout out to our Little Italy of Los Angeles Association down there in San Pedro, right? We're really growing as a Little Italy of Los Angeles. In fact,
I invited you to our 5K run that we're going to be doing early in June. I hope to see you there, right? We're really growing as a community so that all of Los Angeles and beyond knows, gosh, we have quite a number of Italians in Los Angeles, and we're here to get together and grow as a little Italy here. So I hope you'll come.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do my best. I love these events, and I love what you're doing with the Little Italy. You've guys done a fantastic job. Last year's Festa was fabulous. Yeah.
Oh, wasn't it wonderful? It was just wonderful.
I just ate too much.
What's that?
I ate too much food. I ate too much.
Well, isn't that an Italian party? Honestly, Mariana Noli. Any parting words you'd like to say to our guests, to our folks in Little Italy? Anything you'd like to share?
Well, I have to say that I am very proud of being Italian, and I am so grateful that I have this community that is so supportive. And this particular group, IALA, you know, at the end of the day, they are very prestigious attorneys and judges, you're right. But in my eyes, they're my friends. They've seen me grow up. I first joined in 2007. Now 2022. It's been a long time that I've been involved. They've seen me right after I passed the California bar exam, and they have helped me and mentored me. And I don't think I would be the professional I am without a lot of their support. So yes, I think if you're not part of the group, you see these intimidating individuals that are extremely accomplished in the field of law. But for me, they're my friends, you know, and I can tell you, Judge Frisco, one of our past presidents, his wonderful family, and many. Tony Costanzo, our current president, you know, we go to each other's kids' confirmations and baptisms and weddings. It's a wonderful group of friends. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to be part of this group.
And you, I believe, are single, and you have a daughter, a daughter that you're fostering currently now, right? You're really expanding your own family. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that, if you would?
Oh, of course. Well, it's limited the information I can share publicly, but I can tell you that as Italian, I think that also part of our culture is to value our family. And I of course, would have wanted to have a more traditional family and more children, but you know, sometimes it's what we plan and then what happens in life. And I decided to become licensed as a foster mom. I have a lot of love to give, and I think I've been blessed with so many opportunities. And I thought this is a way to give back. And I have to tell you, I think that my daughter gives me a lot back. I learned so many lessons from this child. You know, obviously I teach her how to do the homework, how to, you know, wake up early, go to school, brush your teeth, things like that, that I know you as a mother know, and I learned from my mother. But yeah, we learned a lot from the children. So I think family, you know, we progress and we come a long way. And for women out there that are younger, you know, I'm in my 40s now. I love my career. I would never stop working. I joke and I say, even if I marry a multi-millionaire, I would never stop working because I love what I do. And I don't even do it for the money. I'm passionate about it. I feel intelligent, challenged, and this is my passion. But I think back in the day, women older than we are, they thought you had to choose family or career. And I think what we are able to prove in today's world is that you don't have to choose. If the family works as a team, you can accomplish a career and a beautiful family. And I believe you have 3 children. So you are, you know, you're an example of a very successful woman that has a family. And I'm sure, you know, I don't know your husband, but I'm sure that he's a very supportive father and husband. And yeah, so I think we give an example, Deborah, that it can be done.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And bravo to you, Mariana. I really mean that. Gosh, I've so enjoyed our conversation here. You've taught me a lot. You really have. And you managed to do it all as well. You've got a lot of balls in the air. You juggle quite nicely. Mariana Noli, founder and president of Noli IP Solutions. Also, you're the former president of the Italian American Lawyers Association. Next week, they're having an event, so look them up. And geez, thank you so much for being here for our Little Italy podcast. It's just been a pleasure.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And everybody, please look us up at the Little Italy of Los Angeles Association. Come to our 5K in June. Look us up on Instagram, Facebook, and beyond, and just learn more about us. We're having a lot of fun down there. We do a lot of great work. So I encourage you to join us down there as well. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. This show is simulcast on my other show, Deborah Cobelt Live. So you'll find it there as well. Little Italy Podcast and Deborah Cobelt Live. I'm your host, Deborah Zara Cobelt. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. And ciao. Bye-bye.
Ciao.